I sometimes hear young people wondering whether they should go to university, whether it wouldn't be possible to acquire the skills and knowledge that they require without having to spend 3 years or more at university, but through other generally technology-based means. Now, that's something I've heard increasingly, as it coincides with the increasing number of private skills training providers who want to promote their offerings. I sympathise to a large extent, but the assumption behind this thinking is based on a narrow and wrong view of the purpose and the benefits of higher education. If the purpose of higher education is only to give you the skills and knowledge needed for your first job, then yes, certainly that does mean that there are other ways of getting the skills and knowledge required. But remember that the world of work is changing fast, and a young person beginning work today is likely to change careers several times during their lifetime. The skills and knowledge you need today may well not be relevant later in your life. And anyway, the benefits of higher education go much further than your first job. All the evidence is that people with higher education end up with better and better paid jobs, and they go to the top of their professions far more readily than those without. Research from the American Congressional Budget Office reveals that each year of education increases your lifetime earnings. But education anyway isn't only or mainly about getting the skills and knowledge required for your first job. Your time at university is a time when you develop friendships and networks that will be with you through your life. It provides a wealth of extracurricular activities and enables you to develop your interests and passions beyond the subject that you study. And above all, it provides you with your first taste of independence. And the growing number of young people who go to university outside their local area and increasingly internationally is a testament to that. It's true that there's a downside, that during the time that you're studying you could be earning, but that financial advantage is likely to be eroded over time. And in any case, enabling you to earn more is not the only benefit of going to university. There are multiple others, and there are studies that show this. The UK National Child Development Study was a huge and definitive study which took every child that was born in a certain week in the UK and was able to compare their experiences, the experiences of those who had been to university and those who had not, and who were in all other respects identical in terms of their social and school backgrounds and so on. And those who had been to university experienced better health, better mental health, fewer problems with parenting, lower crime rates, better integration into society, and a whole lot more. These benefits certainly provide benefit to the nation, both financial and social, and so it's incredibly short-sighted of governments to cite economic reasons for cutting back on higher education. Better health, less criminality, better parenting, all mean that the state has to pay less on these things. And obviously, if the benefits accrue to the nation, then they must accrue to the individuals concerned as well. There are, of course, exciting developments in learning and teaching technology. And the best universities have integrated these into their curricula, creating hybrid learning. But that's not a substitute for university education. As I've said, there's much more to education than simply acquiring knowledge and skills and those required for your first job. And remember, you're likely to be changing your career, as I've said, several times in a lifetime. So making lifetime decisions based on what is required for your first job is not sensible. In actual fact, the death of the conventional bricks and mortar university has been predicted for a very long time. For at least the 30 years that I've been working in this area, I recall when I first took over my post as policy director for the Higher Education Funding Council for England more than 30 years ago. One of the first projects that I initiated was what we called the Learning and Teaching Technology Programme, which commissioned and promoted the development and the use of computer-based learning programs, which were predicted by some to be the forerunner of the death of the bricks and mortar university. 30 years on, there is no decline in demand for face-to-face teaching, and indeed surveys have been done since COVID necessitated distance and online learning to show that young people, at least, while they appreciated some of the flexibility that was offered by online learning, were strongly against education based principally on online learning. They yearned to be back in the classroom, to be back on campus. So, in conclusion, my advice to any young person wondering whether it's worthwhile going to university or not isn't to be swayed by short-term considerations. In the long term, you're unlikely to do better by not going to university. And apart from all other considerations, being at university is great fun.